June 5th, 1944. The weather here in Normandy has been rough lately, heavy clouds and rain. The officers say it's unlikely the Allies will invade in such conditions. Some of the men seem relieved, but there's tension in the air. We've been on edge for weeks, expecting the invasion at any moment. Our orders are clear: hold the coast, no matter what. The bunkers along the beaches are fortified, our machine guns are ready, and the artillery is positioned. Still, I can't shake the feeling that something is coming, something big. June 6th, 1944 morning. It began before dawn. The rumble of planes filled the sky, and soon after, the distant thunder of explosions. We rushed to our positions. The Allies are here. At first, it was nothing but chaos. The sky was filled with paratroopers, and we tried to shoot them down as they floated to the ground. But there were too many. Then came the naval bombardment shells crashing into our defenses, tearing apart concrete and steel. The ground shook beneath us, and the air was thick with smoke and dust. We could barely see, barely hear. When the bombardment stopped, the sea was filled with ships more than I've ever seen in my life. They stretched across the horizon, all heading for our beaches. I knew, as we all did, that this was the invasion we had feared. June 6th, 1944 midday. The landing craft hit the shore, and the Allies poured out. We opened fire with everything we had. Machine guns rattled from the bunkers, mowing down the first waves of soldiers as they struggled through the surf. But more kept coming. No matter how many fell, there were always more to take their place. I was in a bunker, manning a machine gun. My hands shook as I fired into the sea of men charging toward us. The noise was deafening: explosions, gunfire, the screams of the wounded. The smell of gunpowder and blood filled the air. We were doing everything we could to stop them, but it felt like trying to hold back a flood with a handful of sand. At one point, the bunkers to our left were hit by a direct shell from a ship. I saw the explosion, felt the heat, and then there was nothing left but rubble. The men inside, they were gone in an instant. June 6th, 1944 evening. We've held them off for hours now, but they're still coming. The beach is littered with bodies, both ours and theirs, and the sand is stained red. The tanks have started to come ashore, and our anti-tank guns are struggling to stop them. Every time one of them makes it past our defenses, it feels like a nail being driven into our coffin. We're being pushed back. The officers are shouting for us to hold the line, but it's becoming impossible. The artillery has destroyed most of our bunkers, and the air attacks keep coming. Planes are strafing us, bombing us relentlessly. There's nowhere to hide, no cover left. Some of the men are starting to break. I've seen comrades run, only to be cut down by enemy fire or shot by our own officers for desertion. The beach that we were supposed to defend has turned into a slaughterhouse, and I don't know how much longer we can last. June 7th, 1944. We've been forced to retreat inland. The Allies have secured the beachhead, and their tanks are pushing through our lines. I never thought it would happen so quickly. One moment, we were holding the beaches, and the next, everything was collapsing. Our communications are a mess, and no one seems to know where to regroup. I've lost count of how many men we've lost. The roads are filled with wounded soldiers, some too injured to move, left behind as we fall back. The sound of gunfire and explosions echoes in the distance, and planes still circle overhead like vultures, picking off anything that moves. The officers say we'll regroup and counterattack, but I don't believe it. The Allies are too strong. We're being overwhelmed, and no amount of bravery or discipline can stop the tide. I've never felt so helpless.